am enjoying it. Speaking of Dorit, who is still feuding with our good friend PK Rama. Listen, PK did an interview and he said that, I really thought that us two, and this is part quote, part me paraphrasing, but he basically says, I never thought that us two, who were the tightest couple in the fucking world, would ever be in a position where I'm watching this woman I love, the mother of my kids, talking negative about me on a TV show. It's just an unusual concept. So before we get into other things, PK, where have you been, my friend? I mean, you are my new friend. Where have you been for the past 8 seasons? So even PK is shocked at Dorit these days. So he said, look, it is what it is. I'm just sad to watch it. He's not so thrilled with how Dorit is handling this. By the way, did you see Dorit was just stopped by TMZ? Also, I mean, Miss Kemsley is just loving this. I think she is saying to herself, man, I should have been the villain like years ago. I don't know if Dorit's ever going to come back from this. I think a lot of you think she's making some of it up. I do think like it's a very slippery slope. I'm loving Dorit. I'm loving everything I see. Yeah, I think it's a little embellished, a little like, too much per se. So, but PK said, Dorit is talking about him, the bankruptcies and his gambling debt and all of that. And he wants to clarify that's not exactly true, that all of that did exist, bankruptcies and gambling debt, and he had issues and reasons for all of it. And he's like, just to be clear, that was way before I met Dorit. So just to kind of put that in perspective for everyone, that was way before I met with her. So there you go. It wasn't like Dorit was necessarily ever a part of any of that. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But it doesn't seem that they're necessarily on the same page, these two, right? I mean, they're having some issues. He points that out. Also, he wanted to point out that, Dorit has made it clear, hello, Boz, nice to meet you. I'm Dorit. My husband's a full-blown alcoholic. She said that many times this season. And she wants to, he wants to make it very clear that what Dorit does not make clear is that he is a full-blown recovery. That regardless of what happened before, he has been through the program, he is sober, and just to be very clear, he is not full-blown alcoholic. He has full-blown recovery. So for anyone that is not clear of that or that wants to kind of quote Dorit, whether he was or was not an alcoholic, he wants to make it clear it is called a full-blown recovery. Point well taken, PK. Point well taken. I mean, if I went through a recovery with or without a program, I'd be really fucking pissed too if you're walking around saying I'm a full-blown alcoholic when the point of the program is that you're in recovery. How does Lala feel about Dorit, how she's handling this? That's actually a question for Lala. Someone asked Lala that question, right? I mean, what if we walked around and said Lala is a full-blown alcoholic? How would she feel about that? She's in recovery. Okay, enough of that. But look, I had loved my night out with PK a few months ago. I loved it. I'm very easy. Just get me backstage at a Boy George concert and I'm yours. Dorit, I'm also loving this season. I'm loving her barreling down Laurel Canyon and having the cigarette in her mouth. Let me tell you, this is like mom and dad fighting. I can't pick. I really do love me some PK and I really do love me some Dorit. Not the case with, I don't know why. Why do I love them so much? I don't know. I'm in it. I'm in it with Dorit and I'm in it with PK. I just don't know why. So I would like them both in the divorce. When the divorce is settled, I want both of them. Let's, where do we go now? There is a lot of little things that I want to talk about in the real world. Um, let's go to New Jersey for a minute. Could we go to New Jersey? Sorry. I did a show earlier in the week on Tuesday afternoon. I did a quick hit that Andy has made his comments that New Jersey is not coming back until 2026. And that is what he said. Some people are saying he said next year, and next year is in 3 days. Unless my ears, and I'm not a spring chicken, I'm getting old over here. Unless my ears are not hearing correctly, he said 2026. He said, I'm not talking about that until 2026. Anyone that thinks he said next year, it ain't what I heard. It ain't what most people heard, but there you go. And he said, stop asking. So we covered that Tuesday afternoon. I offered some unsolicited advice to Teresa, Melissa, and everybody. And I think Melissa is handling this much better than Teresa. But just in general, I think you just shouldn't be waiting and waiting around. And I mean, it's as clear as it can be. If someone shows you who they are, listen, just listen. I wouldn't be expecting it. I wouldn't try to be seen out with Jennifer Aiden. I wouldn't try to be seen out with Marge. I would just go live your life. When Melissa is sending around the sprinkle cookies, that's what you should be doing. Go ahead and actually have a what's the word? Have a life outside of the show, because they want you to be completely reinvented when they do come back to this. Melissa Gorga has weighed in on this 2026. And she said, oh my God, why? See, here's the difference between Teresa and Melissa, I find. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying this. Let's not give Melissa too much credit, but I do find Melissa's statements to be organic. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that they are put on for, I think they're just real, like real reactions. So she says, oh my God, why? I just heard that. Why? That's a really long time. Even if I'm a part of it or not a part, that's a really long time. Well, it is, but I really think this 5 stages of grief are not sinking in now for her, for everybody on the cast. Andy said 2026. I would take that to be 2026. She then goes on to say, Melissa Gorga, that's going to hurt the network. We have to have news before then. It doesn't seem like you're going to, Missy G. And I think he, meaning Andy, I think he would lose everyone if they were in limbo that long. Everyone would be like, everyone would be like, unless everyone would be like, unless they were fully recasting, so need that much time off to figure that out. Right. She's like, everyone would be like, I guess, useless or whatever. But then she's like, unless they need that much time off to figure it out, which I don't know. I feel like they need to keep a couple of familiar faces, if you ask me. Well, of course you do. Basically, Melissa is saying, why do they need another year unless you're recasting? I think you should keep some familiar faces. No shit, Messy G. Of course you do. But I completely disagree with Melissa. She says, why would they need that long unless they were completely recasting? I completely agree. I touched upon this on Tuesday. I think if they were completely recasting, they wouldn't need that long. Now, I don't think they would rush it through, because they rushed through RHONJ, and we have a bunch of colleagues that don't know each other, that didn't know each other, and that are slowly starting to get to know each other, and still